Jason, when I take buyers out to look at homes, an important part of helping them understand the value of how strong their offer is going to be is if they can provide some kind of proof that they've talked to a lender and qualify for a loan. But we sometimes throw out words like pre-approval, pre-qualification. What are those?
So they are different, they are similar also, but a pre-qualification is basically where a loan officer will take a loan application from a borrower, and they will ask them several questions with regards to, hey, what's your credit like? What liabilities do you have? They may even pull their actual credit and then get an idea of what their income is. The problem with the pre-qualification is that generally all or some of that information is not verified. And so a pre-qualification is just kind of a quick and dirty, like, hey, here's your ticket to go out and start looking. Based on the information you've given me, you should be able to qualify for a house.
As long as you've been honest, we've got a reasonably good chance that you can qualify for a loan on this amount.
Correct. I would never do it. I don't ever do them because it's a quick way to get burned, both as a loan officer and then also on the borrower. And so all around just a bad situation. I always do a fully vetted pre-approval. Even if it takes extra time. I've had some. I did one recently that literally almost took us a week to do the pre-approval because we had some difficulty getting the information from one of the borrower's employers. I wanted to make sure everything was lined up and good to go in regards to that.
So this is where you get the things like their verification of employment. You get their income documents.
Correct.
Have them actually look up what their debts are instead of, well, I think I owe so much.
Absolutely. So as part of a pre-approval, we'll get as complete of a loan application as possible. Going to pull their credit, get information from with regards to their income documentation, so pay stubs. In this particular case with this borrower, her pay stubs weren't really making much sense and adding up, and so we requested a verification of employment from her employer. Got all that stuff straightened out. Once we got all that straightened out, then we were able to issue a pre-approval. You really should be getting a pre-approval before you even start looking at homes, and what I mean by that is going out with someone like yourself. You can look online all you want, but a pre-approval is going to give you an idea of what your payment would be, what you qualify for if you're unsure of, as far as what you can afford. And so I recommend that you only ever get a pre-approval. And then if you are working with a different loan officer, you always want to just kind of ask those sorts of questions like, hey, what have you verified? Have you made sure I meet the guidelines and stuff like that? Because I've also seen other people get pre-approvals that aren't even worth the paper they're printed on. And that's why I've been burned. I was burned one time by an extra step that I take, which is always running it through the automated underwriting engine. So every single mortgage loan, whether it's conventional, VA, FHA, USDA, all has to be underwritten by either Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, or in the case of USDA by Gus. There are separate automated underwriting systems, and so I make sure that every single loan before I issue a pre-approval gets an automated or acceptable approval on that, so that it's a solid pre-approval.
Yeah, from an agent's perspective, it's much better to go out and look at homes because now we know they've got a really good, strong sense of what they can afford, what their potential payments could be like. But then when they get ready to write an offer, I can have written proof that they haven't just talked to somebody and said, well, I think this is what that's a pre-qualification. No, they've gone a step further and have provided the documentation. Said, no, that we really are at that stage where we've gone through all these steps, and what we're waiting for now is finding the right house and getting an offer accepted to move forward.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things of why pre-qualifications are so bad is because, in my experience, people do not have as good of an understanding about how much money they actually make or what we can use from an underwriting perspective. I recently had a client submit a application, and he started a position a year ago where he receives a bonus and some overtime. And so he lumped that into his loan application and thinking or expecting that he'd be able to use that, but unfortunately we can't, because he does not have a 2-year history of receiving either of those, and definitely not with the employer themselves either. And so unfortunately we had to scale back the amount of money that he can actually use to be able to qualify.
Okay, good information.